Why leading feels so lonely, and how African managers can overcome it. It is cold and lonely at the top of a mountain. This old Chinese proverb reflects a truth many newly appointed African managers and leaders discover sooner than they expect. Whether you're leading a local agribusiness in Uganda, heading a tech team in Nigeria's booming startup scene, or running a cross-border trading operation in South Africa, the transition from being a team player to standing at the helm can sometimes feel like a profound and unexpected shift. You may find yourself missing the camaraderie you once enjoyed, yearning for easy chats over lunch, or simply craving that feeling of being one of the group, an equal among peers instead of the boss who must remain above the fray. If you find value in these insights and want more guidance on leadership in the African context, please remember to hit that like button so we can continue sharing content that empowers you. I remember my own transition vividly. For over a decade, I worked as an individual contributor, first as a junior engineer in Nairobi, then as a senior software developer collaborating with peers across multiple African tech hubs. Back then, there were constant pair programming sessions, team lunches, after-work gatherings, and a general sense of equality. We pulled each other up, worked through tricky problems together, and sought feedback as equals. There was always someone to talk to, someone who understood the exact code snippet you were struggling with, and someone who'd catch your mistakes early in a code review. But the moment I stepped into a managerial role, moving from a pure technical focus into leading teams and overseeing multiple projects, the dynamics shifted. The people I worked alongside daily were no longer my peers, they were my direct reports. Suddenly, the casual chats over coffee were replaced by more cautious small talk. Jokes landed differently, and it felt like an invisible line had been drawn. I couldn't just lean on them for understanding or vent about a tough day as freely as before. The meetings I attended were often solitary affairs, strategic discussions with upper management, delicate performance conversations, or stressful budget reviews. The sense of being part of a warm, cohesive unit was replaced by the sometimes isolating mantle of responsibility. If you're reading this, you may have experienced something similar. The loneliness that comes with leadership is more common than many realize. While we often talk about the perks of leadership, authority, influence, the ability to shape a vision, we seldom acknowledge the emotional cost. And this cost is felt acutely in African markets, where leaders often navigate complex cultural dynamics, scarce resources, and rapidly changing industries. Here, the stakes are high. You're not just delivering results, you're helping shape future opportunities for entire communities, and that can feel both exhilarating and isolating. In this article, we'll examine why leadership can be so lonely and, more importantly, what you can do about it. We'll discuss 3 powerful ways to mitigate isolation: mentorship, engaging in non-work activities, and building supportive networks. Along the way, I'll share personal stories and insights to help make these concepts more relatable and build trust, showing you that you're not alone in feeling this way. Understanding the shift to leadership. As an individual contributor, I see life is often simpler. You have a single boss and clear tasks. If you're working in an African tech startup, maybe your daily responsibility involves writing robust code for a fintech platform or analyzing customer data for an agritech solution. Success is defined by whether you meet your deadlines and whether your contributions improve the product. There's usually a straightforward career path, and your manager often guides you: learn this skill, deliver on that project, and you'll be ready for a promotion. However, when you move into management, the landscape changes dramatically. Instead of pleasing one boss, you need to satisfy multiple stakeholders: your direct reports who rely on you for guidance and fairness, your own managers who expect strategic thinking and results, and perhaps product managers or board members who need reassurance that projects are on track. The path to success as a leader becomes fuzzier. The metrics aren't as straightforward as lines of code committed or sales targets hit. You may now be measured by team morale, talent retention, cultural integration, or how well you adapt to shifting economic conditions in a continent as diverse as Africa. Moreover, your words and actions carry new weight. A casual Slack message that once would have been interpreted as a friendly nudge could now be seen as a command from above. A half-distracted look in a one-on-one meeting might suggest to a direct report that you're disengaged, hurting their confidence. These subtleties can feel like constant pressure, making you feel as though you're walking on eggshells. And since you're expected to maintain composure, show direction, and lead by example, there's little room to express vulnerabilities or anxieties. This combination, diffuse responsibilities, heightened scrutiny, and the emotional weight of caring for a team's well-being, creates a perfect recipe for loneliness. Everyone looks to you for answers, but where do you turn for your own emotional support? The isolation factor. It's not that you're literally alone, you might still be surrounded by talented people. Yet, the nature of relationships changes drastically. The bonds that once felt organic can now feel formal or transactional. You might think, at least I can talk to my reports about my struggles, but that's not always wise. They rely on you for stability and assurance. Voicing too many doubts or frustrations can erode their confidence in you. What about your peers, other managers at your company? They might lack the full context of your situation, or worse, your candor might backfire if workplace politics enter the equation. While we aspire to lead in open and transparent workplaces, the reality is often more complex, particularly in fast-growing African companies where competition and ambition run high. Appearing weak or uncertain may influence how your peers or higher-ups perceive your capabilities. If you're lucky, you may have a supportive boss who encourages candid discussions, but even that can feel risky. Will admitting struggles to your manager be seen as a lack of competence or readiness for the next step? How to combat leadership loneliness. The good news is that loneliness in leadership doesn't have to be a permanent condition. Understanding why it happens is the first step. The second is taking proactive measures to counter it. Let's explore 3 practical strategies you can adopt: mentorship, non-work activities, and building networks. 1. Mentorship. A mentor can serve as a safe sounding board, especially for new managers who are still finding their footing. In African business ecosystems, mentorship is often underrated. Yet the continent's diverse leadership landscape is rich with experienced individuals who have navigated similar challenges. A seasoned mentor can offer perspective, helping you see the bigger picture. They can validate your feelings, guide you through tough decisions, and help you avoid common pitfalls. Check if your company's HR department runs a mentorship program, or see if your boss can connect you with someone who's been there, done that. If formal mentorship isn't available, consider forging an unofficial relationship with someone you respect, maybe a retired executive who successfully scaled a business in East Africa, or a known industry thought leader who writes about African leadership trends. When I first took on a leadership role in a Pan-African startup, I felt overwhelmed. Our market spanned Nigeria, Kenya, and Rwanda, and each region had unique challenges. I reached out to a former colleague who had led a successful expansion into Southern Africa. Over monthly phone calls, she helped me understand how to adapt my communication style for different cultural contexts and how to manage expectations when no one solution fit all markets. Knowing she had once felt as unsure as I did made me feel less alone, and her guidance helped me navigate a steep learning curve. If direct mentorship is hard to find, content mentors can fill the gap. These are authors, podcasters, or thought leaders who share their experiences and frameworks online. Perhaps you follow a successful CEO from Lagos who regularly posts on LinkedIn about leadership in emerging markets, or you read blog posts from African business coaches who understand the continent's unique challenges. Even without a personal connection, their insights can reassure you that your struggles are not unusual. 2. Non-work activities. One of the best ways to combat loneliness as a manager is to reconnect with who you are outside of work. The identity shift from being just another team member to the manager can consume your sense of self if you let it. Non-work activities create space for you to breathe, think, and rediscover your individuality. This is especially important in African contexts where community, family, and cultural traditions often form a strong foundation of personal identity. Engaging in sports, volunteer work, religious gatherings, or cultural festivals can remind you that your value isn't tied solely to your leadership role. Maybe you join a local soccer club in Nairobi, attend a community storytelling event in Ghana, or take up an old hobby like painting in Addis Ababa. These activities not only offer stress relief but also provide a support network outside the corporate environment. At one point, I led a regional sales team for a manufacturing firm based in Johannesburg. The pressure to meet targets, maintain customer relationships, and navigate regulatory changes often weighed on me. I found myself missing the camaraderie I once had as a junior salesperson. To combat this, I started attending a weekly book club in my neighborhood. Discussing African literature with people who had no idea what I did for a living gave me a mental break. It reminded me that I was more than a quarterly sales number. Over time, I returned to work feeling more balanced and less isolated. In addition to personal hobbies, consider activities that build relationships across societal segments. Maybe you volunteer at a local youth entrepreneurship program or join a professional association that hosts cultural nights and networking events. These environments can broaden your perspective, introduce you to new friends, and give you insights into life beyond the office's four walls. 3. Building networks. While mentorship provides guidance and non-work activities restore balance, building networks, especially communities of leaders, offers ongoing, peer-based support. Imagine being part of a WhatsApp group or Slack channel where African managers across different industries share their daily wins and struggles. Perhaps they exchange tips on dealing with rapid currency fluctuations, sourcing talent in emerging markets, or handling the cultural nuances of leading remote teams spread across multiple countries. These networks serve as a form of group therapy. They remind you that many leaders, from first-time managers in Ethiopian social enterprises to experienced directors in Morocco's logistics sector, grapple with similar feelings of isolation. In safe, understanding forums, you can share your stories, ask for advice, and learn from others' experiences. When I was managing a tech support team in Egypt, I joined an online community of African tech managers. We shared challenges, like convincing global stakeholders to invest in local user research and adapting project timelines to fit less predictable infrastructure conditions. One evening, I posted about feeling overwhelmed by an upcoming reorganization. Within hours, 3 managers from different countries chimed in with their own stories and how they navigated similar transitions. Their empathy and practical suggestions didn't just solve my immediate dilemma, they reminded me that I wasn't alone. Social media platforms like LinkedIn, Twitter, X, and professional Slack communities can help you find these networks. There are also newsletters, podcasts, and blogs dedicated to African leadership and management. Even if you prefer staying off certain platforms, consider regional conferences, seminars, and meetups. Some events bring together managers from across Africa to discuss common issues, from improving supply chains in West Africa to integrating digital solutions in East African commerce. Practical tips for implementing these solutions. Start small, don't feel the need to overhaul your life overnight. Begin by picking one strategy. Maybe you start with non-work activities, just one tennis class a week to begin rediscovering a hobby. Over time, you can add mentorship sessions or join a manager's community. Set boundaries. Loneliness in leadership often comes from feeling constantly on duty. Make it a habit to log off work at a consistent time, ensuring you carve out space for personal interests and community connections. Be authentic. When seeking mentors, communities, or even non-work friends, be honest about what you're looking for. Vulnerability can be powerful. Telling a potential mentor, "I've been feeling isolated in my new role," might open doors you never expected. Leverage cultural strengths. Across Africa, the importance of community, storytelling, and shared experiences runs deep. Use these cultural strengths. Storytelling is a powerful leadership tool and a way to connect with others. Share your journey, listen to others, and remember that every conversation can be a step toward feeling less alone. Embracing a new mindset. You now understand why leadership can feel lonely: the heightened responsibilities, the blurred lines between friend and subordinate, the unrelenting expectations to appear confident and knowledgeable. But you also have tools to counter it. Mentorship provides guidance and insight, non-work activities restore your sense of self and broaden your horizons, and supportive networks let you share your challenges in a safe space. By employing these strategies, you'll slowly find the loneliness easing. You'll come to realize that while leadership may feel like standing alone on a mountaintop, you're actually surrounded by many others who have made a similar climb, and are ready to offer a helping hand. In this sense, the journey becomes less of a solitary trek and more of a shared expedition, one where leaders across Africa and beyond support each other's growth. So, the next time you feel that pang of isolation, remember that it's a common part of the leadership landscape. Acknowledge it, then take proactive steps to find community, belonging, and understanding, inside and outside of work. Over time, you'll not only become a more resilient leader, but you'll also help cultivate an environment where future African managers and leaders feel more supported, understood, and ultimately, less alone. Thank you for watching and reading. If these strategies resonate with you, please don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more insights, tools, and resources designed to empower African leaders and managers on their unique journeys.